Okay, I'm gonna wait till a few people jump on. I'm testing my live on my new phone. I just got a new phone, and I think the video quality is probably better than my old phone. So I'm just doing this in my car to test it out. I'm getting some really hot sun over here. Maybe if I bring my, let's see, uh, it really doesn't, it's really not making that much of a difference. So I'm right here in my car, and I'm going to try to see how this live works here. I haven't used this new phone to go live yet. I had a really funny problem with it the other day. I was going on a shoot, and what happened was I hadn't used this phone. I hadn't used this phone yet, so I had actually forgot that when you get a new phone, everything was set up, everything was working fine. It seemed to be, but also one thing about it was I hadn't initialized the GPS. So I left in enough time to get to the shoot. It was a shoot with for a client I'm working with. We're doing a pilot preview. And so what I thought was, it was only like 20 minutes away. So I said I leave like 45 minutes, 50 minutes ahead of time, so I'll get there, I'll be nice and relaxed. And I knew it was going to be a long shoot because the call time was at 4 p.m. And we had about 7 or 8 pages to do, but it was inside, outside, it was moving around a lot of different locations. I'm going to move over here a little bit to see if I can, yeah, I'm glad I brought this tripod. I'm sitting in a lot of sun, so I don't know how optimum this is, but yeah, so it looks okay from what I can tell. I got a lot of glare here, so we'll see. But anyway, back to the story. I was about to head out. The car was already packed. I had parked the car the night before just to be on the safe side. So I had all my equipment packed in the car. I was going to be doing the audio for the shoot. We hired a really good cameraman who has a nice a couple of nice Blackmagic cameras. And I saw some of his work and was really impressive. So I was very confident to work with him on the shoot. And so he had called and asked if I could do the sound since he knew I had my own sound equipment. So since I did have my own sound equipment, I said, yes, of course. Since I was directing, I could easily do the sound. I could work with the actors. Hello, hello. I could work with the actors. And then I just got an email from one of my clients, but I'll continue with this first and I'll answer the email later. So I told him that, yes, I'll be happy to do the sound. So I had packed the equipment the night before. Everything was in the car. I was ready to go. I got held up a little bit because I had planned on leaving 45 minutes early. But luckily, I walked out even earlier than that, probably like 50 minutes. So I get in the car and I grab my brand new phone, which I'm recording on right now, and I pulled up the location, and I had sent myself an email with the Google Maps location. So I hit that Google Maps location, and the map did open. So once the map opened, it was giving you the preview. You know how the map opens and it gives you that initial preview if you're offline? So I didn't freak out yet. I just decided, okay, let me see what's going on here. And I tried to figure out why I wasn't getting the directions. And so I started waiting a bit. I couldn't figure it out. The car was hot. I have an old car. Not this one. I have another old car that I use when I go on productions. And so I got out the car, went back up on my porch where there was shade, and I started messing around with my brand new phone, trying to figure out, okay, what is going on here? How come I can't get Google Maps to come up? And I was starting to panic. And I said, okay, calm down, because it was a one-day shoot. I'm the director. I don't want to show up late and be embarrassed. So what it gave me the step by step. So I spent like maybe 10 or 15 minutes trying to figure out how to get it to start, how to get Google Maps to start and give me the voice and guide me through the directions. And I could not figure it out. I thought it was something to do with the new service provider I had and the new phone, but it wasn't. So I decided to take those steps. So I took the steps and I started following it. So I had to get on the freeway. I went on the freeway, and then the next exit was there, and I'm driving, trying to step through these steps by steps. And then I started thinking, you know what, I'm going to get into an accident. So I got off the freeway, and I followed the next couple of steps, and then I wasn't sure whether I was going the right way. And I still had about a half an hour left. So I said, okay, you got a half an hour left. Let's stop and try to figure this out. So what I did was I stopped, and I actually, when I realized what I had done, I had almost stopped right in the middle of the street. I pulled to the right a little bit, and so I was trying to figure out why I couldn't get the Google Maps to work. And I was going to call somebody for help. I was going to call my wife and see if she had any idea, if she could help me look it up. But then I started thinking, I said, okay, wait a minute. This is a brand new phone. Uh, what if I look for Google Maps? I look for Maps, the app, and I open that first. And I think that's what I did. I opened Google Maps first, and then all of a sudden I realized it said welcome, blah, 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 blah. So I had not initialized it. And I completely forgot because it's been such a long time since I got a brand new phone, probably over 3 years. And the only reason I got the new phone was because my old phone was working great. I'm on Android. I'm not interested in spending the big money for the, not that I don't like the fancy phones. I'm actually started out as an Apple guy years ago. So I never actually owned the iPhone. But anyway, getting off the story, I opened it up, and it took me through the steps to initialize the phone so that I could use it for the very first time. So that was the problem. And then as soon as I had initialized the phone and then it connected with my service provider, then I was able to get access to the GPS. And then the GPS led me through all these different side streets because the location wasn't an easy one to find. We were shooting out here in Los Angeles, and it was only like 20-30 minutes from my home. So that's why I wasn't even under pressure to make sure that I wasn't going to be late. So after I got it initialized, then it started taking me through all the steps, driving through all these small little twisty side streets. Los Angeles has a whole bunch of hillside homes where people live on these hills, and they got beautiful views of, downtown LA or either Burbank or, wherever they're facing. But I was worried. I was worried I was going to be late. So got together, and ultimately I ended up arriving there probably like 15 minutes early, which was good. I found a location, and I went down, and I was the first one there. So that was still good. I still made it there on time. I was the first one there. And I always like to, especially when I'm directing, I like to show up. I like to be the first person there to, say, for instance, we're using the location to meet the people who are, we're working with to get the location. So I ended up getting there on time, had enough time to unload my sound equipment, and I was able to take it down to the front door of the location and just sit there and go through the script. So I always try to leave early. I'm one of these people that I'd rather be too early, where I had to wait outside, and I'll have to wait outside in my car until we can get in. Because sometimes you'll rent locations, and the person who's renting the location will not show up until it's actually exactly time for them to let you in, because they want to make sure that you enter at the right time and then you exit at the right time. So luckily we didn't have it hard out for this location. The hard out means sometimes you'll get a location and you'll pay for 5 hours or you'll pay for 6 hours. So this was an Airbnb we shot at, and we had it for until the next day. And so we ended up shooting from once I got there, it was like maybe 3:45, and we ended up shooting. We had an entrance time of 4 p.m. and we didn't have to leave until the next day at 4 p.m. So we had plenty of time to get all the coverage we needed. Hello. Thanks for stopping by and listening to my story about making it to the location on time. But it was, I didn't get as stressed out as I normally do. And luckily it wasn't a hot day. Luckily I didn't have to bring a lot of equipment. And luckily it was a small shoot. It was going to be a small compact shoot. It was an actor, an actress, the cameraman, and myself. And we had a nice inside location with air condition. We did have a bunch of shots that we did out on the street. And, as I was working with them, the camera guy had a lot of ideas. And again, when we first start working together, I hadn't worked with him before. And he turned out to be a really great camera guy. I would definitely work with him again. His shots were really good. He had a lot of creative ideas. And I'm always open to creative ideas. I don't like to get on the set unless I don't like to get on the set and become, militaristic where, okay, you got to do this, you got to do this. This is my idea and this is my vision, blah, 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 blah. So a lot of times when you're directing, this is a little inside tip on directing, especially when you're directing something for television. If you look at television programs, even some of the television programs that you like, most television directing is kind of like a traffic cop almost. You're not there to change the characters. You're not there to change the story. You're not there to take your vision and put it into a series that has been going on for maybe 4 or 5 years. It's more of a traffic cop, like I said. It's more of a traffic cop where you decide, okay, here's the scene. This is what we want to do. And okay, you're going to walk here. You're going to deliver your dialogue. You're going to walk there. You're going to deliver your dialogue. Because most of the time, the actors already have their characters down. If they've been doing this series for some time, they already have their characters down. They know how their characters behave. They know the internal struggles. They know the internal conflicts. They know how their character speaks. They know what their character will and won't do. It's very rare that you will come to a television show. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because a lot of television shows have different directors. It's not usually, it's really not normal for one person to direct a whole series of a television program. And I'm talking SAG union television. So when you arrive on the set, you need to be familiar with the show so that you won't go in there and have your ideas and try to change the characters and give the characters different, backstories or have them deliver lines that they wouldn't normally say. So again, directing a television show, and I'm talking about a union show or even a non-union show like I was working on yesterday, I let the two actors bring their characters that they had developed on their own. And I just tried to help them, with blocking, where the shots are going to be. We're going to shoot in the living room. We're going to shoot in the kitchen. We're going to shoot outside by the hot tub. We're going to shoot out at their car. They're going on a date. So for instance, one of the first shots was the couple, the male was coming to pick up the female for their very first date. It was, had met online and he was coming to pick her up. And so we decided where they were going to stand. And a lot of times you decide things, especially when you're shooting outside in an uncontrolled condition with the sun, that kind of dictates where you're going to shoot, how you're going to set up your shot, how you're going to do the blocking. And one thing about this location, the only downside was we had a lot of exteriors at the beginning of the day, and we were not too far away from a very noisy LA freeway. So one of the things that we had to do was we had to do the dialogue, but the dialogue that we did on the specific location was unusable because of the noise. So then what we did was we recorded the dialogue for like a looping session. We did a makeshift looping session in the living room. And so it turned out good. That's going to be one thing that's going to be a little bit difficult for me. The actors were good. They knew their dialogue. And so when they got back in the house, then they had to repeat the dialogue, or to their best of their ability, repeat the emotions and the dialogue the way they said it outside on location. Now, sometimes that's difficult for new actors. One of the actors was a very experienced young man who has been in major motion picture films. Once we release this, you'll be able to see it. He's recognizable to a lot of people. And so he has a lot of experience. And so he was able to, bring those emotions back to life inside. And our actress was also very talented. So she was able to bring her emotions back, and they were able to match what they did outside. The hard part for me as the editor will be syncing that up and matching it to their voice. So the great thing about it is it takes time, and they did a good job. So once I actually lay the dialogue in, I'm going to have to, move it around a bit. So we did most of the takes for the looping, which is what you call when you replace dialogue. A lot of times movies do that when they're shooting outside because they're in noisy situations and they can't get good, clean, usable dialogue. So what they do is they record dialogue on location, but they know that they're going to have to replace that dialogue in what's called a looping section, or ADR, which is automatic dialogue replacement. And that's just a process of looking at the video, the actors looking at the video and repeating those lines and trying to match it as close as possible to their performance. So, it's not a difficult process, but it does take time. Sometimes it's time consuming. And if an actor hasn't done it before, then it could be a learning curve. But so what I will have to do now, it's going to give me another little extra step of editing. And luckily we didn't have too many scenes. We had maybe three or four scenes that I had to loop. So what I will do is I will take those scenes and I will match the dialogue. And sometimes what I'll have to do is in between words, like what I just said right now, in between words. Now, if they don't match up exactly, what I'll have to do is cut the dialogue in between breaths and move it a little bit to the left, move it to a little bit to the right, so that it's in sync with their lips. And sometimes it won't be perfectly in sync. So what I plan to do is get it as close as I can, and then within the editing, if something is off and I just can't get it exactly right, I can have a cutaway, if it's available, to the other person to cover that little section that's not in sync. So it's going to take me a little bit more editing. It's going to take me a little bit more editing, but I will definitely be able to get it, and I will definitely be able to do it. I've done it before in the past. In the past, I had to, in the old days, before we even had non-linear editing systems, I would edit deck to deck. I know a lot of you young people don't know about that. We'd have an edit controller in the middle, and we'd have two decks on either side. And so I had to sync a whole feature film that I had done that way in the past. So it's nothing that can't be done. It's nothing that I haven't done before. It just takes a little bit more time. So I'm going to start getting that together. And once I get to that point, I will just go scene by scene and don't even think about it. Just do it scene by scene. Okay, so I'm going to shut this off for now. And thanks a lot to everyone who watched. And I will jump back on again, maybe this evening. So that's what I'm going to be doing from now on, jumping in and off of these vertical live streams, because they're really helping me get my watch hours. But more than that, they're helping me build up my subscribers. That's what I'm trying to think of. I'm getting distracted because I'm looking outside. I'm at the park with my wife and our grandson, and I'm watching them play over there. So just keep an eye on them while I'm talking to you guys. So I will see you in the next one. Thank you.